YouTube. Yes, it is me. Your favourite, only so far as you know, pagan wizard. Oberon, Zarot, Star Dragon. So, orbital crystal ball at the top of my staff, or my wand, when I show that. Lightning bolt. Star, 7-pointed star, which is what I'm wearing in a circle today, as I wore in the last video. Yeah, this one's in a circle, and a dragon. I'll bring the toast to you. I was just going to grab another incense and put some other incenses on I wanted to light. But the other one is that I show you. Though you may not be able to see it because of the camera distance on my iPad. So, first of all, yes, Oberon, Zarlot, Star, Dragon, and it actually says dragon on this one, which is really cool. So it's a 7-pointed star, like one I'm wearing, but on a circle. This one's in a circle, and like the other one I also wear around my neck, which you've probably seen before. I've probably shown you before. This one, obviously above the star, a lightning bolt. No, not necessarily what you may have seen, but you know, this sort of image. And obviously a crystal ball, not a real crystal ball, but close enough. And a little something different, a little sort of pretend ruby on it, but you know, anyway. So that's my main stuff, and I wear my pure white robes. And the music you can hear in the background is a track I've had on before, or CD I've had on before, called Mind, Body and Spirit. I don't know where, I can't remember where I got it from. But anyway, you probably might be able to see it at some point. So, yes, I'm probably too close to the camera as well, which is really nice. My room has just decided to fall down for no bloody good reason. No good reason. So, last video that I've made about paganism before, excuse me, all of these videos are what we call educational. That means I am trying to teach you, those of you who watch it, something about paganism. So, you've seen one of my staffs, my main staff, and now here's a different staff that I'm going to show you, and I've probably showed you this one before. If you can't really tell very well what it is, I will bring it a bit closer for you. Now, as you can see, it is indeed a dragon. I did not make this stuff, no, I brought it. It was made and it was sold to me in a shop in Glastonbury, very near Bristol, Ireland. I've told you this before. Now, it's not so clear whether this dragon is supposed to have legs or not, but it does have wings and a body, and a head and a neck, obviously, and of course, horns. 2 of them, like most dragons. So, now, this time of year is a special time of year for pagans, which I've probably told you before. And this is another stuff I want to show you. It's a snake. It's a head. I think a corn snake. I'm not sure what kind of snake it is, but I believe it's a corn snake. And I think some of you might recognise it probably from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets and beyond. Now, also I'm going to talk to you about some other things as well, as we still have the worldwide horrible pandemic of COVID-19 with us and amongst us at the moment, around the world. So that I'm going to speak to you about that. So, some of you have probably been wearing things like this. Some sort of what we call a face mask. Now, on your local public transport and, you know, if you go to other countries and in around all your shops and shopping centres, perhaps, possibly. And maybe when you walk around in your public areas that are not shopping, you know, are not shopping areas. And in the open areas that are not shopping areas. Some of you don't, obviously. But what happens if we wear one of these things and we encounter someone who cannot hear with their ears and therefore cannot speak with their mouth? They have to speak with hand gestures, and they have to listen with their eyes. And that is what we call, it sounds a bit mean, but it is the term that a lot of people will, of course, use even nowadays still, a deaf person or hearing impaired person. Now, they might have hearing aids, but so they might be able to still hear you, but they might not be able to speak because they find hearing things very, very difficult. And I mean really, really difficult. It's a real struggle, you know, clenched fists kind of thing. So if any of you are deaf and you are watching this, I hope that I am speaking, first of all, very, very clearly and slowly, so that you can, of course, understand what I am saying, so that you are looking at my lips as I speak, and so that even if you cannot hear the music, which is playing, music. I'm trying to think of a sign language that would be appropriate, and I hope I've covered it, and that gives you deaf people out there a reasonable idea of what I am saying about music and listening to it. If you cannot hear it, it is very sad that you cannot hear it, but it is on here for the other people who can hear, and to hopefully put not just them, but also you guys as well who are hearing impaired, as I prefer to say, in some way, shape, form. And yet some people who are hearing impaired, which I will tell some of the other users, subscribers and watchers now, is that they might only be deaf in the one ear. So it makes it able to hear better in the other ear, but they still might occasionally need to lip read. So that's where they watch that is where they watch your lips and your mouth very, very intently to see or read what you have said. Now, sometimes you have someone who might be on television, on the news, or perhaps maybe in these videos, or in a film, maybe on either a TV film or an actual film in the cinema, and they might do some very interesting hand gestures, and this is apparently called sign language. Now, some deaf people call this just signing or sign. It is actually a language. It's a form of communication that allows hearing impaired people to talk to you, or us, or each other, and for you to, in return, be able to talk to them, because they cannot hear with their ears. They can only hear with their eyes. So that's something really important that I would like you guys out there who may be pagan, who may not know anyone who is pagan, but could be possibly hearing impaired or some way, shape or form. And I think it's really important that we raise awareness on that. And obviously sometimes, as I said, they might be hearing impaired only in the one ear. So they may wear a hearing aid only in the one ear, or perhaps maybe as they get older, like my own grandfather, they may start wearing 2 hearing aids, but they still may be able to hear you, but you still might, but they will still lip read. So they will still want you to speak slowly and clearly. And I hope I have been doing that through each and every one of my videos on paganism. So, first of all, I have mentioned about different staffs, and of course wands, which I will show you later, and I think I've mentioned in some of my other videos about different types of wands. So I'm going to show you some other wands soon, and I have been talking about also face coverings because of the worldwide pandemic, because of COVID-19. So I have mentioned, unfortunately, these types of face coverings. Now these just cover your nose and your mouth and stretch over your ears like that. Now for those deaf people, they will not have known a word of what I just said whilst I had this on, because although I was speaking, my lips were covered, so they could not read my lips. There's also a type of face mask that you could get away with, but it might put you in a lot of trouble, which is a face covering as such. And that's this one. Now, I'm still talking, of course, obviously. I probably sound a bit quieter. Now, I can see out of it. My nose is covered, and my lips are still covered, but my ears are covered. My entire head is covered. So this is something like a wrestling mask. And again, for 4-year-old hearing impaired people, now hearing impaired people who only might have hearing problems might be only hearing impaired in the one ear, they might be able to still hear me, but not as well because they have covered my lips and actually made my voice sound a little quieter. So if you heard that on the video, that's really cool. Now, there is a better way. What they sometimes wear in some of the shops when I go in, which I think is actually safer and better when you go on public transport. And this is one of these. And it is called is called a face shield. Now, I can still see, and you can all still see me, and the beauty for deaf people or hearing impaired people is that they can still see my lips and therefore read my lips. So they can still hear me with their eyes and still know what I have said if I speak slowly and clearly. Now, obviously, as I'm recording this video, I am also watching myself at the same time, so that I know that I'm speaking very slowly and very clearly. Now, obviously, even if we have a hearing impaired person who might be watching this video who might be only able to hear in the one ear, depending which one it is, not being able to hear in both. I mean, and there are some hearing impaired people who can not hear in both, but they do have hearing aids and they can speak, but they still, again, like someone who might have only be hearing impaired in the one ear, still have to read your lips. So they read them with they read your lips with their eyes, because we all read with our eyes. We read things in a magazine or a book, or something written on a screen, like a laptop or an iPad or a smartphone. Like, obviously, at the moment I am using my iPad. Or we read things about DVDs that we may wish to, or subtitles. If we do not understand what has been said, if it's the Americans, which I sometimes, even though I am not hearing impaired myself, I sometimes struggle to understand American television programs sometimes. So I put these little things called subtitles on. Now, you can put them on here on YouTube, but they are not very good for English, I do not think, personally. You can also put them on DVDs, not VHS, the old VHSs, unfortunately, or you can put them on when you're watching a television program as well. So you can actually read what the person is saying on the screen without having to read their lips, which is obviously very, very confusing, very difficult, but you do not have to read their lips, and you can read what is written on the screen. And that's what subtitles do when you watch something like maybe the Harry Potter films, for example. Ow, 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 ow. And I'm going to take my face shield off, but next time I go on public transport, I may actually wear this instead. And when I go into shops and things, and if there's another customer in there who might be hearing impaired, this is the next best alternative. Felt very sweaty on my forehead to have it on around and covering my face. So although my face was covered, hearing impaired people could see my lips, and they can read them and listen to what I said with their eyes without the subtitles, obviously, because in real life we do, when we see people and walk around with people in real life, speech marks there, quotation wise, or quotation marks as some people call them, we do not have subtitles. Now that is a very sad thing to think about. Now, why am I wearing different style coloured robes to what I wore last time? First of all, because my white ones are only when I am the Oberon, hang on, people. Oberon, Zarlot, Star Dragon. Now, talking of that, I am going to get my wand out that is similar to my staff, that has all of my magical initials on it for my magical name. Now, I know the hearing impaired people are going to hate me for not saying that as I walked away from the camera, but I had no choice. So, I'll be back in shot of the camera in a moment. Now, here we are. Now, so this is the same as my staff that I've showed you before. It has the symbols of my magical name in it. So, orb or crystal ball, and sometimes orbs are referred to as crystal balls. They're spherical, and anything can be an orb, really. But usually, orbs are usually spherical. And so Star Trek fans, who know, especially if they know Deep Space Nine, if they when we talk about orbs as well, please be aware that because it's Hollywood in America, this is an orb, not what you see in Star Trek Deep Space Nine with the Bajoran faith or spiritual path. So an orb, a lightning bolt, and a star, which you cannot see very well, but it is basically again this kind of star, which I've I have shown you all many times before in many other videos, but this is the star that I am on about. If this, so that is the star that we're on about, the seven-pointed star, or seven-sided star, known as an elven star, or a septogram. Yes, it's known as an elven star, or a septogram. Now it has 7 points to it, so I have not got a big version I can show you right now, but so as I draw it on the screen for you, so I'll start right up here at the top. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to go away from the camera, or just here to the camera, and stop there. And then I'm going to bring another point back to the corner of the camera there, or the screen of my iPad, I should say. And from there, I'm going to go down and across, and stop there, and go across. And then from here, I'm going to go across. So I'm going across and up to there. So the first point was from here. We started from here at the top, went down to there, well, here. Then I went up and across to here, to this point here. From this point here, I went down and across to there. And from there, I went across to this point, to this side here. And from this side here, I'm going up and across. So up and across like this, and up to that point there. And then I'm going to now go down diagonally again, and like that, stop in the corner roughly about here, and then go back up and across slightly to the top, which is about here. So where we started from. That is a 7-pointed star, like the pentagram, which is a 5-pointed star, which I'm sure many of you have seen before, if you're pagan, and if you're not, you have probably seen a pentagram before. So there are 2 names for the elven star, or a 7-pointed star. Elven star, septogram. In fact, there's more names than that. There's even another name for it called, I think, the hexagram, but that does not sound very appealing to me. So I use either the septogram for it, or the elven star. And you can, like the pentagram, you can put the elven star in a circle. So remember, you've seen the shape I've drawn already. So imagine we already have the shape there. And from here, I'm going to start where I started at the top of the septogram, the top of the septogram. And I am going to gently start from here, drawing a circle around it. And of course, a circle is a symbol of unity and harmony, and all different things working together. So with the septogram, of course, or the elven star, there are 7 different elements, and I will name them for you. So actually, the question is, what are the 7 elements? Well, first of all, we have the most important element, which is, and I'm going to use a symbol for each one, is the element of air. So here's a feather, and we know a feather comes from birds, and a lot of birds fly in the sky. So this is from either a seagull or a pigeon, I think. We have the element of air. So we'll start at the top with air, come down from air. So the air blows down. We know the trees get blown. We know the leaves on the trees get blown about and stuff, especially more so this time of year, being it's autumn and coming into winter. And then from there we have the element of earth. Now, to show you something that grows up out of earth, I'm going to use something small, but this is a broom. It's a tiny little one, but it can be used, and all of its bits are made from things that come up out of the ground. So we're down here, earth, so we've come from air, and we've come down to earth. And from earth we're going to go and find the 3rd element, which is, so air was the 1st element, this is the 2nd element, and we're now going to go and find our 3rd element. So air at the top was our 1st, number 1 element, and earth is our number 2 element, which of course is our 2nd element. That's right, that's our 2nd element. So we're going to go and find now our third element, which we're going to find and we'll put in place. Now that is of course the element of fire. And I can show you that with this incense that I'm burning, which I put on to create a blessing whilst I do the video. And you may not be able to see it very well. You can see it very well, that's right. I did think maybe you would not be able to see it very well. You can see there's smoke, and you might be able to see there's a little, well, you may not be able to see this, but there's a little bit of a glow on the incense stick as it is burning. And I'm going to try and get the burn in for you guys. So you can see the glow. And we know that fire creates heat and light. And of course, obviously, I have a couple of candles lit as well because it is a bit dark, even though I've got all my lights on as well. So yes, fire creates not only light and heat, but it also creates warmth. Well, that's what heat is. But it also creates smoke. And we can do many, many things with fire. Because fire is nice and warm, but also very dangerous, of course. Obviously, and I would think you would all know fire safety by now. But with fire, we can cook our foods. We can warm water up to clean ourselves, or drink, or make a drink if we wish to have a warmer drink at this time of year, being it's getting a little colder. And also, it can help us to keep ourselves warm, as we've said, to make things as well. And that graciously brings me on to our fourth element, which of course is metal. Now, let me go for a piece of metal. I am going to have to find a piece of metal to show you all. In fact, actually, I am wearing some metal items. These two necklaces here. This one, of course, is obviously a dog tag. So this one that I'm holding up now is called a dog tag. Now, it is also in the colours of the Gay Pride flag, which are, obviously, although in reverse, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and of course, obviously, purple. Now, I hope I was very clear on what I was saying. Obviously, metal again for this with this element. So, but I do have something much better, and I'm in the process of turning into something else. Through heat, perhaps, maybe. Ow. Wasn't supposed to do that. Ow. Perhaps, maybe through some of its processes will be through that of the element of fire. This is a piece of metal, and I'm turning very, very slowly into a wand. Not a star, not, I repeat, not a staff. Well, staff is more kind of, this is a wand. Like that. Like what I've just showed you. Now, this is the element of metal. Now you can decorate it. As you can see, I've kind of started to decorate it. Pre-decorate it. I already started decorating this wand in advance, so that when I do some bits to it, put its crystal tip on, give it another crystal for a handle, so which will be a crystal ball with the same type of tip, of point, of crystal that I use as the tip for the wand. Now, when it is finished, it will be available. I do not know whether I will be keeping it for myself to use as a wand, or whether or not I will sell it. Now that is the decision I have yet to make. But this is our fourth element, and this is called metal. Now it comes from the ground by a mix of earth and fire. So a mix of element number 2 and number 3 to make element number 4, and obviously a little bit of number 1 as well. Now, so 3 elements have already come. 3 of our elements out of the 7 have combined to make number 4, and it is already a powerful element because of what it has within it. And that is the element of metal. Now, that somehow strangely brings us on to our 5th element. And I will use something to illustrate this. A crystal ball. Now, a very fantastic one that I brought quite a while ago in a shop, a specific shop for these kind of things. But it has not really, that shop is of course no longer with us. Somewhere not like a Tesco's, but I suppose like a Tesco's, but for these sort of kind of things like incenses and altar stuff and things like that. Now, and it is called space. This is our element number 5, our 5th element. This is only 5 out of 7. So, why is it called space, and what does it mean? Well, metal is each different one means different things, and obviously when I was saying about air, we can breathe. You use oxygen to breathe, and we use carbon dioxide, which is what we breathe out. We breathe in oxygen, so we inhale through our noses, and we breathe in oxygen, which is, I cannot really show you what oxygen looks like, but I'm breathing right now by talking to everybody through this video. I'm also breathing out carbon dioxide, which helps the trees, because apparently that's what the trees and all the plants in the world, or our world, or this world, breathe in. Somehow they breathe, even though they do not breathe in through a nose and out through a mouth as we do. So they give us oxygen, and we give them something they need, which is carbon dioxide. So it's a kind of mutual, well, I say a mutual, but a kind of, not a respect, but a sort of, well, not a respect, but a sort of, a sort of special relationship, although harmonious, because naturally we both need each other. So there are those of people who I like to put what some people might call a hex, spelled H-E-X, on those who would chop down trees or chop their branches off for absolutely no reason at all, when their branches are not in dire straits, even if they're in a car park or some other public area, like such as a park, or maybe woodland, the local government keep an eye on, or somewhere like a National Trust placing, or a place, or an English heritage place, or a Forestry Commission place, or an arboretum. Now, when I see these so-called tree cutting people, or men, mostly it's men I've seen doing this, work men, they might be strong and muscular, but to me personally, that means absolutely nothing at all, because they're harming something of nature. Imagine if now I would like to say this to them, imagine if they were the tree, and I thought there was something wrong with their branches. Imagine their arms are the branches. I'm going to chop all their fingers and their thumbs off on both arms, and then I'm going to chop the rest of their hands off, and I'm going to chop that bit of their arm off, both arms, and then I'm going to chop the rest of their arms off at their shoulders. And just for the better measure, even though they're still rooted, they are rooted to the ground, I may just chop their head off as well, just for good measure, because I think there might be some bad growth on the head part. Now, to me, that is harmful to nature. You are forcing nature into complying to how you want it to react when it is perfectly natural for it to be all wild and different, and it's basically not what we do when we have a garden. Well, obviously we tend our garden, but even then some people are very, very, not very good at gardening, and they think they should cut or prune trees and shrubs back, or cut the dead heads off flowers, and they don't actually, there's no dead heads on the flower. There are no dead, so-called dead heads. That's where basically only the flower head is left, and they're just petals. But that is not always necessary, because that means you're potentially taking off new growth, or growth that has only just started coming in, and you should not have done so. Now, sometimes these accidents do happen. Yes, they are accidents, and they do happen in gardening like that, but doing it to somewhere like, yes, the trees may have been planted in that car park area for that shopping centre or what have you, to provide a bit more oxygen for everybody, but although they are providing oxygen for everybody who lives and comes and uses that space and lives around it, do not force a plant into complying with becoming a garden plant if it is not a natural garden plant. But yes, give it attention and tend it like you know, and help it like you do when you teach a child things, and help it be a beautiful, loving plant that should always be respected as a part of nature, because you never know when it might turn on you one day. So, that's a little bit of a rant out of the way, but I just thought it was necessary for you to understand how we all work, how the entire world, that's right, I said the entire world, works together in this harmonious way, magically, spiritually. I did say spiritually as well as magically, but also naturally, because even we are supposed, even us humans, earth people, we ourselves are supposed to be made from the dust and the earth and the mud, and came up out of the mud. That's why if you've ever been to maybe a Christian funeral, they say dust to dust, earth to earth, and ashes to ashes. And this is all the things that even in paganism we are supposed to be created up out of the ground from by the gods, whether they be the ancient Greek gods, whether they be Zeus, Hera, Pan, Poseidon, and so on and so forth, and any of the Titans. But that does not mean that it is not true. Now, atheists obviously will believe that we were not created or whatever. Even if there is creation and some forms of evolution do perhaps maybe support that there is something had to come from something to start something else, that does not mean that the atheists are correct. Because surely there are powerfully divine creators out there, or a creator, depending on your point of view, or creators, depending on your point of view, but they have intelligence. They gave life to this world as we know it, and ever since then, since mortal kind have been up and around, we have done things, either by inspiration or any other divine, whether it's divine or not divine, but and everything has ever happened that has ever happened that we know of through history, through maybe looking to the future for science fiction programs, such as Doctor Who or Star Trek or the Marvel Comics or Captain Scarlet or Thunderbirds or Stargate, the film, and of course the series SG-1 and any other series after that, or series that are similar but maybe still something similar, maybe even Charmed, the original and the new series, or maybe the Power Rangers series, although based originally on a Japanese series called Super Sentai. But you get the point. You all get the point. And we also know what we are doing now, whether we do it through, how we look at these things, maybe through perhaps maybe a deck of tarot cards or crystal ball or runes or whatever the divinatory tool may be. We have, of course, found out these things, and not just through divination either. And sometimes there are times when we try to use technology to create predictions, such as if you have ever watched a BBC News forecast, or an ITV News forecast, or a Channel 4 newscast, or whatever channel it might be in your country, whether you're watching in Australia or New Zealand, or America or Canada, whatever the local news, or even if it's your local news service, whoever does those that provides those news services for you, even if it is on the radio, in your car or in your home, well, they always do a weather forecast. Now, this is in effect attempting divination and attempting to suggest, say what the weather might do for the next 4 days, for example. So, for example, from today. Now, on these weather forecasts, I am sure some of you will have also noticed, as I have noticed, they also tend to tell you what the weather is currently doing, which will lead to the next day and so on. But I never, even on the radio, even if I hear it on the radio, I never ever believe it. Why? Because we can't, that is the thing, no pagan, whether you are a psychic or not, it does not mean that you can predict the weather, even accurately, even through divination. Whether you are clairvoyant, whether you're a tarot reader, whether you're a rune reader, etc., so on and so forth. If you are any of those, it does not mean that you can accurately predict the weather, even with all these signs and omens, like ones you may have heard of when you were growing up as a small child. Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. which translates to basically, if you see a red sky during night, you see a beautiful red sunset, basically, it means at night as the sunset has started, it means that the next coming day is supposed to be a beautiful sunny day again, or nice weather, even if it is cloudy, but no rain, basically. Sometimes that does not always hold true, and the opposite of that, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning. Now this is translating to, well, it's a red sky, the sunrise is red, so it's a bad day for the rest of the day, and potentially the next day as well. So that's predicting the weather for the day, basically, during sunrise. Sometimes you might see a red sky in the morning, but it does not mean that the weather is going to be bad. And that is without using technology, and that's been around for a very, very long time. But people like the BBC and ITV here in the United Kingdom. Now the BBC, and they've always been known as the BBC, since whenever television and radio came into existence here in the United Kingdom. I don't know about America and Canada and the rest of the world, but that stands for the British Broadcasting Corporation, or company. Same thing. Corporation and companies are pretty much one and the same thing, but corporation is just a much more posher word for company, because some people do not like the word company. You get some posh people, and they get up their backsides. And I'm not going to say any more on that, although it's a bit shit, by the way. Now, ITV used to be, they are the competition for the BBC, obviously, because they do not do anything and ITV are the ones who do not have, in this country, in the UK, or the United Kingdom, to do what we call a license for the television, or TV license for short. Yes, now I'm not going to explain to you how that all works, but it's just a very pointless discussion anyway. Now, ITV used to be known as ABC, and that, I think that used to, if I remember right, from the research that I have attempted to do, that used to stand for either another broadcasting company or corporation, or alternative broadcasting company or corporation. But obviously in America you do have an ABC as well, so obviously when I suspect ITV found that out, they thought, well, let's change our name. And I believe they have been pretty much ITV since whenever they changed, when they found out that the Americans had an ABC as well, which stands for American Broadcasting Company, as does also in Australia. I believe they also have an ABC, which stands for Australian Broadcasting Company. So there's two ABCs out there, I know for definite, that are not what the UK uses anymore. And of course, ITV now stands for International Television Service, I think, or something else. I'll have to check and see if I know actually what it stands for. Unfortunately, I think it is IT for international. So big I, big T, or small t as they do there. Well, they all do it in small letters nowadays, but it used to be a big I and a big T, and it used to be a very big V as well. Anyway, but so I and T, so I for international, and T also for international, or just I for international, and then T and V for television. They could have called themselves International Broadcasters, ITB. That would have been interesting. That would have been very interesting. So, okay, I'm still a bit long on this video, a bit longer than some of the others, and some of the early videos that I've done, but anyway. So let's go into the other main topic. I was going to talk to you about I was going to use my dragon staff, but anyway. So I have showed you different staffs and some different types of wands. Some different ones, a couple of different styles of wands, and how maybe they might be decorated and stuff. And now I'm going to talk to you about also robes as well, because I wanted to focus on the fact that it is the time of year what pagans call Sowen, although it's spelled Samhain. Now originally this would have been a Celtic thing, and it really symbolized the Celtic New Year. So technically for pagans this is when New Year should begin. But obviously since the rise of Christianity and other religions, it is now January the 1st that is the New Year, and December the 31st that is the New Year's Eve. So Sowen, or Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, as a lot of people will know it, where you have the pumpkins and and dress up as witches and skeletons and ghosts and all sorts of manner of things, and vampires and all sorts of manner of dark things, trolls, maybe some demons, maybe some cats, witches' cats perhaps, maybe dragons, maybe some devils, maybe some demons. Anyway, before we get sidetracked, and maybe we could dress up as bats. Anyway, so the dressing up and the trick-or-treating and the apple bobbing, the games and the all that kind of thing. Obviously now, because I know I'm not sure about Australia, again, New Zealand, Canada and America, but I know that I believe that the trick-or-treating part of it may be put on hold, and the parties may be put on hold. So that probably will not happen. But what I am going to do myself is probably decorate a pumpkin, which I brought recently in my local supermarket, and I may put it in the window, and I will get some tea light candles maybe and display it and light them and have a good time. Or I can get some pumpkin decoration stuff. And I also brought 2 pumpkins. So one I have for decorating, the pumpkin, and the other one I am going to perhaps keep and maybe somehow make pumpkin pie and see if I like it or not. Yes, so that is one of my plans for Sowen, or Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, as it also ended up being known. Now, but I must talk to you about robes. So we are in the season of autumn as well. So we have had the autumnal equinox. We're still on autumn. We're coming into winter, and we are coming up to the winter solstice, or Yule, as it was formerly known. So Christians have changed that and called it Christmas, Christ and Mass from the Catholic part, and then obviously then the Anglicans are talking about, and they still call it Christ Mass or Christmas as we now call it. Anyway, or the time of the winter solstice and or Yule. So we would also, from the Sowen perspective, or the Halloween or All Hallows Eve's perspective, we would already be in the new year, the cold, but we would accept the cold of the winter. So anyway, but as you can see today, I am not wearing my usual white robes. I'm wearing 2 robes in fact today. One is a red and black one, which is from Harry Potter. It has the Gryffindor logo on it. If I come a bit closer to the camera again, you'll see that is exactly what it has on it. See, it has the Gryffindor logo on it. I know you can't read it very well, but it's definitely what it says on there. And as you can see, it does have the Gryffindor lion on it as well, and obviously the shield and the little knight's head on it and all that stuff, everything. So the hood is obviously red, and the inside of the hood is red, obviously. The insides of it are, well, especially the inside of the hood is black, like this t-shirt that I am wearing that is black. I cannot show you the t-shirt, but I will tell you that it does have one of these on it, a dragon. So it's very good for today, very appropriate, with my magical name. Also, the outer robe that I'm wearing is a light brown, and obviously it is autumn, and some pagans, especially when we are in the priesthood like myself and other YouTube people who do these sort of videos and teachers, well, and usually in paganism it is usually in paganism it is the priesthood. I don't know about any other spiritual paths like Christianity or anything, but within paganism it is indeed definitely those who are in the priesthood, however many types of priests there are and priesthood levels there are, whatever pagan path you're on, it does not matter. But anyway, it is the priesthood, the members of the priesthood, who do the teaching within paganism. I mean, well, sometimes, unless of course there are no priests, and then you do some self-discovery and you do it through books, of course. And the people who may not be priests or in the priesthood, they may have written those books. But anyway, so yes, and of course, if you are in the priesthood, I will ask that the gods and all the gods, ancient, primordial, titans, early Olympians, middle Olympians, and later Olympians, and myself, give you blessings, because you need our blessings. You need we need blessings from each other, especially at this difficult, still very difficult time in the world. And to basically tell you that also, but to tell you those of you who are not perhaps in the priesthood or maybe considering it, or even may not be in the priesthood at all, but like the idea of having multicoloured or different coloured robes for different occasions throughout the year and different times of the year. So yes, I am in basically pretty much autumn and wintry kind of themed in my robe colours. So the inner bit, the bit underneath is black. The inner robe bit is red and black places. And the outer bit is a nice light brown, including the hood and the rest of it. But this is open and this is closed, and it's got a black belt that goes around it, around the waist. And but obviously I'm still wearing my important necklaces. And this is a little crystal that I brought more recently, but when I also brought this. So I brought both of these very recently, but they go in front of, they obviously go behind this little chap. If he's going to be naughty, I am going to really lose my temper at him. There we go. So yes, so yes, that is almost everything I wanted to say to you. Now, so I'm going to wish you all, whether you are in the pagan priesthood or not, or you're in some sort of teaching capacity within the paganism, and that may be through the priesthood, but it may not be a part of the pagan priesthood, but it still might somewhere along the line. Also, I'm going to wish you grand blessings for coming for Sowen. I'm sure you all have been blessed greatly by the autumnal equinox that has just passed from the round about the 22nd of September. And I'm also going to wish you all obviously I hope you all before that, of course, around about the 1st of August, had a really great and blessed Lammas, or harvest, as some people, of course, call it, which it technically still is. And then I'm going to, as I said, wish you all a great Sowen or Halloween or All Hallows Eve blessings. But I will be starting saying the word Sowen a lot more. So, yes, those are the blessings that I'm going to perhaps leave you all with. I would like to leave you all with some music to just leave you with, and kind of color my camera up, but allow it to keep filming whilst we just have the music. But it seems that the CD player, or the CD itself, has gone into some muckabout thing, and we're having technical issues on that side of things. So I will love you all, bless you all with love, light, kindness, happiness, positivity, and any other blessings that are positive in their own ways, and a blessing from all of those lot as well. And I will see you all very, very soon. Blessings to you one and all for Sowen, because by the time Sowen comes around, this video probably will be uploaded to YouTube. So let's us keep our fingers crossed. And if it is not, and it is uploaded after Sowen, and it is uploaded after Sowen, or Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, then I will obviously keep my fingers crossed. I will keep my fingers crossed that I can upload this video to YouTube by Sowen itself. However, if not, then I'm going to bless you and say that they are also belated as well. But just in case this video is uploaded a little after Sowen. It will not be uploaded today, the day I filmed it, which is today, which is the 21st of October. So it's about 10 days before, but I'm hoping to have a way of uploading this video by Sowen itself, which is of course the 31st of October. So it's about 10 days away, and hopefully I really am going to have to kick this CD player, I think, because I am indeed having really bad technical issues, as you may have heard. Right. Well, I'm going to leave the music for the rest of you, those of you who are not hearing impaired, and I hope that somehow, even those of you who are hearing impaired, get to hear the music somehow by others singing it for you, or somehow using sign language to tell you what the music is. So whether it's a guitar or a piano, or perhaps maybe a trumpet, or some other type of, or I think I may have meant a saxophone when I did the actions. This CD player is getting my ears right. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to have to change the music for a moment, so I will not be on the camera for a little while whilst I do that. Actually, what I'm going to do is leave you with two pieces of music, which make this video a lot longer, but never mind. Two CDs that I like, and there's 2 pieces of music. There's 7 pieces of tracks on each. There are 7 tracks on each CD. And these are the CDs. I'm going to show them to you now. And hopefully even those who are who are not hearing impaired, they can perhaps describe the music through perhaps maybe sign language if they know it, if they know anyone who is hearing impaired. And so that way that those of you who are hearing impaired, whether it's both ears or one ear, you also get blessed as well, not just by the music, like everybody else who was not hearing impaired, but also the blessings that I've left you all with. When now this is obviously when I can put the music on. But let me just focus on putting the music on for a moment. And something I will point out to you now, you may have noticed while the music has stopped, there is some rain, and it is raining right now here in the UK, so it is a bad day weather-wise, and I've explained at the beginning, some part of the video at the beginning, some beginning part of the video I have explained about why this video is, how things are today. So let's start with some lovely music, and hopefully I can leave you with these 2 pieces of music. And so anyway, I'm hoping I can leave you with these 2 pieces of music, or the pieces of music on these 2 wonderful CDs, and that they will bless everybody, not just the people who can hear the music, but also the hearing impaired people as well, and even those who can hear but may not be able to see or speak but can hear. So that everybody gets blessed in some way, not just by the music, but the blessings I have already left you with. And once the music starts, I am hoping that, here it is now, so I'm hoping that all these the remaining music will bless you all and keep you safe, and that you all stay safe, and you remember what I said about face masks and face shields, and that I will see you all soon. And I must also say, well done to everybody who has subscribed to me recently, because it seems when I last checked YouTube on my phone, I have now gone up to a massive 24 subscribers. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed to me recently and made that number go up. Thank you to all of you. Blessings to all of you who have now subscribed. Not just the original early 5 or 6 or how many early 10 or how many subscribers it was. The more of you I get, the more I can put these videos out, and the more, and eventually if I get to at least 1,000 subscribers, YouTube will actually start paying me to put these videos out. So thank you. I'd like you all to also quickly thumbs up the video as well if you liked it. If you didn't, well, you can thumbs down it if you really think it will help. If you really think I could do better, or you can do better, if you want to go that far. If you did not like it or if you did not either like it or dislike it, please do not do either. Leave it. But if you did like it, or if you did want a thumbs up it and you really liked it, please subscribe. And I've already explained to you the reasons why. And I'll leave you now again with the music.